Toxic hustle culture that you worship is slowly destroying your health and your happiness for life. Last few years, it's become a very popular trend for people to start idolizing a whole lot of material possessions and lavish lifestyles, typically seen differently in every culture. You've probably had something that you can kind of relate to. Everyone has. At one point, you've really wanted something, whether it's the lavish car, the lavish lifestyle, you've probably wanted it very badly. And the problem is a lot of people are falling into this whole hustle culture where they will do whatever it takes, work as much as it need to go ahead and get those material possessions that they desire. Nothing inherently wrong with wanting all these things. I completely get it. And I too want all these cool things because, it's at the end of the day, we're still humans. We want all of these things. That is valid. The problem is most of you are neglecting your health, your happiness, for this. The problem with this is mainly your health. Most people work a lot more than the 40 hours, which is fine, but most people work a lot more than 40 hours. They take a lot more and then they neglect their sleep. Sleep being one of the most important things in life because it pretty much helps you run correctly as a human being. Without sleep, a whole lot of bad things happen to you that most people neglect. They try to brush it off like, sleep, I don't care. I don't need sleep. I'm chilling. I'm young. And yes, you are young and you are probably healthy at the moment. But if you ignore your sleep, number one, you're not going to be young for a very long time. And number two, run into a whole bunch of health problems the older you get. Although you are chasing wealth right now and money, you'll eventually pay for it with your health if you don't take good care of it. At least if you plan to live a long time. Who knows? Maybe you don't really care to stick around much. But as you get older, things do change. You might change your mind all of a sudden. You're like, no. Everyone normalizes not sleeping enough, eating out all the time just because you don't have enough time to cook, or it's whatever. I'll just eat out all the time. I'm making big money. That's all that matters anyway. A lot of stress. You normalize a lot of stress all the time and gotta hustle. Who cares? I'll thug it out and I gotta lock in. I completely get it because nowadays inflation is through the roof. I get it that it's a lot harder nowadays to live. But there are better options. You don't have to just work a whole bunch of hard, low-paying jobs that aren't making you the money that you need to. For the most part, have you not noticed that most of the people who fall into a lot of this hustle culture, they're not even making that much money, or they're actually really not even doing that well off. They'll usually hustle in a lot of low-paying jobs, and they'll just constantly add up a lot of the hours. And the sad part is you probably blow it on things that you don't even need and end up wasting it. And you're in this cycle where you're constantly working a lot of hours, blowing all the money because since you've worked so much, spending the money on dumb stuff or things that you want is kind of like an escape. It's the same example of people who go ahead and work. Then at the end of the day, they go to the bar, they blow about half of what they made that day, and they repeat this cycle. They feel productive in their mind because they're working so hard throughout the day. And a lot of the times you are told that hard work equals success, which is not always the case. Now, hard work and resilience is a huge part of success, but it's not the only part of success. And the way I can describe it to you is imagine you are a car salesperson. Your job is to sell the cars and you make money off selling the cars. But let's say you work very, very hard at sweeping the office. You're working super hard, but you're working hard at the wrong things. And because you're working hard at the wrong things, you're not making the money and you're not getting the results you want. So although you're working yourself to death sweeping, you are not getting that money. And that's what a lot of people will do. They work super hard in these jobs that are either dead end, they're not really doing too much for them. And they think that because they're working very hard there, they will be getting some kind of success eventually from it. That's not always the case. They're constantly blowing all their money. It's this endless bad cycle that you kind of want to avoid altogether. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. You do have to work very hard for the most part in life. It's not easy and not everyone can be rich, at least at the moment. Doesn't mean you can't be. You will have to work very, very hard if you want to get out of this toxic cycle. There is a better way. I did all of this stuff. I did all this dumb stuff too. I was into that whole hustle culture and all I cared about was working. And pretty much right when around I got out of high school, I was 18 at the time, I was working all these low paying jobs, but I was hustling. Had that hustler mindset. I'm like, I don't care. I'm just gonna thug it out. I'm gonna grind through. I don't care about anything except the money. If you're not talking money, don't talk to me. Okay, I wasn't that corny, but I'd have that lame attitude, right? At a wholesale place. And originally I started with the online grocery things, but I didn't really like it. So I ended up moving to the meat department And unfortunately, I wasn't even a butcher. I was the guy that would clean up after the butchers. I would just pretty much come after they left, clean up their mess. Pretty much would just get dogged on by everyone there, or at least the managers at the time. I wasn't doing too much. I was doing that. I was working my decent amount of hours there. And then I also would do painting every other day that I wasn't there. So I'd do painting, then I'd go and work in the meat department and clean up after everyone. So obviously I was in that hustle mindset, and I was also studying to get one of my licenses for real estate. I was hustling, working super hard, and I wasn't really getting anywhere. I was just getting super frustrated because I'm like, dude, I'm working so hard. I'm following all this advice that I'm seeing on TikToks and social media from all these successful people. What is going on? And then obviously, I was working these lower end jobs, but I had a goal in mind. I was like, okay, this is not going to be like this forever, and I'm eventually get out of this. Because yeah, I was working so much and I was still pretty broke. I was barely making any money. Work a lot of hours at the meat department. Every other day I wasn't there, I was painting houses. So I was climbing up these huge ladders, 3 stories up. I wasn't terribly scared of the ladders, more scared personally of falling off the ladders and then being paralyzed. You know what I mean? Like, if I was gonna fall off, I'd rather just die there and then. But I would hate to be like, I fall off the ladder and now I'm just paralyzed for the rest of my life. Like, that would suck. That sucked right there. And I'd work from around 7 to 7 to 7 most days. Sometimes we'd stay a little bit later. Sometimes we'd leave a little earlier, barely sometimes. Pretty much what I did. And I was still pretty broke. I was still barely making any money, even with the 2 jobs. Stuck in this little hustle culture. And I was also studying every other little chance of free time I had. It definitely sucked there. I knew that it was possible, and I know that there's better ways to make more money. I'm like, all right, Israel, this sucks. Clearly you're not making that much money, and clearly this is not working. You need to learn some kind of skill and start making more money. And that's what I did. I learned a skill. I got a few different higher paying jobs, and eventually my new job was able to make way more, about 3 times as much as those 2 jobs combined. And it requires a lot less work. I just needed to literally work smarter and use what I was good at and really find a way to stay positive and really have that resilience to find something that would work. And this is really just to give you an example that it definitely is possible. I totally get where you're coming from. This whole hustle work thing, it's kind of cringe. You see a lot of people talk about how much they're working, either getting like a super tiny paycheck. I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of other people hustle a lot and they'll sell, things that are not legal to make a little bit of extra money. And it's like, that's even dumber, because it's like, is it really worth the felony, bro? Probably not. You're gonna have to work very hard and resilient. And I get that it's not the same case for everyone. Some of you are genuinely struggling to just make ends meet, and I totally get it. But just know that it is affecting your health. Not sleeping correctly does so much bad things for you, right? Just to name a few, impairs your cognitive function, including your memory and your decision-making skills. So pretty much just by not sleeping correctly, not making smart choices, which is gonna affect how much money you make in the long run. It really does. Because what you know and what you do is gonna affect how much you end up getting paid at the end of the day. On top of that, you increase your risk of diabetes, heart diseases, bad mental health, depression, and it also increases your cholesterol. And on top of that, you get stress. You get stress from not sleeping correctly. That stress is also going to give you all of those same things I just mentioned. So that's like a double whammy right there. You're getting clapped on both sides. It's like, what? No. Don't neglect your sleep. It is important. Do not brush it off. You are going to want to do, right? Because it is possible. You don't have to work so hard all the time and make such little money. You don't want to work that hard eventually. Or maybe you like working hard. Look, all you're gonna have to do, right, is you are gonna have to work very hard at the beginning, especially if you're struggling to make ends meet. You have to make an escape plan, because yeah, sometimes you will have to just thug it out and work very hard, but you don't wanna do that long term. It's not good for you. So make an escape plan. Think about how much money it takes for you to be able to find maybe a better job, a higher paying job. Start finding out skills that you can do and learn very well so that you can actually get paid well. And now, instead of working 60 hours a week at a job that pays you very little, you can work one job at a job that pays you 2 to 3 times as much as that job. Now, you don't have to not sleep well. You don't have to neglect your health. You don't have to eat all this junk, and you don't have to go and blow all the money to feel some kind of escape, because now you don't have to work that often. You will have to eventually put in the work at the beginning, but eventually you'll have some kind of escape and you'll have some kind of end goal. And it doesn't always have to be a business. If you want to make up your own business, go for it. I'd love to see that, and I'd love to see you be successful. But not everyone wants to do a business. So if that's the case, just find a better job. And I know what you're thinking, Israel, not everyone can have this awesome job that you're talking about where you just don't work that often and then, get paid a lot of money. Yeah, that's true. It's pretty competitive and not everyone can do it, but you can. You clicked on this video, and that's because to some degree you want to improve your life and you believe in yourself. So if that's the case, why not you? Why not you? Like, are you doubting yourself that much? No, you are capable of it. And you're trying to make this excuse that not everyone can do it because it's a kind of like a safe trampoline where it's like, if I fall, like maybe I fail, whatever. Not everyone can do it. You can do it. And there's a lot of abundance out here in this world. There's a ton of abundance. I want you to keep in mind that abundance is everywhere. The only reason in this whole world, our planet, there's even shortages because of greed and because of humans and the way that we tend to be. If it wasn't for that, there is an abundance of everything. So yeah, maybe not everyone can do it, but you can. So find an escape plan. Think, what is it going to take for me to be able to, live this kind of lifestyle where I don't have to neglect my health. I don't have to, in 30 years, be wasting all the money I've accumulated just to barely stay alive and live a miserable life. Think about what's it going to take. And I know you can do it. You just have to really start thinking. And when you're in this hustle culture mindset, you are tense. And when you're tense, your mind does not think as effectively. Just a wake-up call. Do not neglect your health. Find some better way. Make your escape plan. And I know you can do it.